Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I didn't know this is already live. Looks like it is live. Okay, we'll wait till it's 2:30 by my watch. It's only 2:27. Then we'll get started.
Sure, sir.
Okay, hello and welcome everyone to our live session, the first live session for January 2024 to April 2024. So we'll have three live sessions in total. Um, Today will be the first one, obviously, at the end, almost the end of second week. And we'll have one more at the end of the course, which is at the end of week 4. There's a 4-week course, so we'll have it at the end of week 4. And for people who are taking the exam, which is quite a large number of people, we will have one more live session specifically focused on exams and exam-related format, questions, all those questions. We'll have it during the last session, which is the third session. The dates are, one is going to be, I believe, in a couple of weeks' time. So I prefer usually Fridays or Thursdays, so we'll have it on one of those days. And same way, the just before the exams, let's say 10 days or so before the exam, we'll have the third live session. Now, why do we need live sessions? Why can't we just do it with discussion forums? Well, discussion forums are asynchronous, which means that you put in your question and you wait for some more time, and then some more time, and eventually probably get an answer. We will make sure that all your questions are answered on the discussion forum. How do you get to discussion forums? On the course webpage, when you log in, you will see an ask a question. So if you click on that, it goes to the question directly. I'm sorry, the discussion forum directly. So that's how we get to that. So that's asynchronous. For synchronous, which is what we are doing right now, we can ask questions or anything that's unclear in the course or anything about design thinking itself in total. You can use this time to pose your question uh, via chat, or you can unmute yourself. And since there are a lot of people here, my recommendation is if you raise your hand, we will specifically ask you, and then you can unmute yourself and ask us the questions. So that's going to be the general format. For those of you who are watching this live on YouTube, this is being telecast on YouTube as well. There you can just use the chat. We are also monitoring the chat on YouTube. I'll look into those questions and answer the questions here as well, and you will be able to see the answer. There'll be a little bit of time lag after you ask the question and me answering it. Just be patient and you should get my answers. So that's the general format. If you're watching this as a YouTube recording, and still some questions are not clear to you, some things that's unanswered, then feel free to use the discussion forum. We will definitely come around to answering your questions sooner than later. So we'll definitely do that. There are three of us. We take turns in trying to answer all of them. So that's going to any query at all, if it's even if it's logistics issues, if it's design thinking related, if it's design thinking career related. Also, we are happy to take your questions. Or if you're a teacher, you're a faculty, if you'd like to teach design thinking in your college, in your university, and you need help with that, also please let us know. We'd be happy to help with that. Or if you're working for a company and you need some help with that, also I help other companies also. I help a lot of companies with their design thinking. So you can pose your question here as well. So that's going to be how we're going to have this session. So if let me just check if Sham is here. Sham and Sukrat are our teaching assistants. Looks like he will probably join soon. So I have we have a set of questions already. I'm going to be answering them one after the other. But if you have any questions, please do use the chat, or if you want to ask it live, the question itself, raise your hand because there are 38 of us. Two or three of you trying to ask the question at the same time may be a little difficult. So please do raise your hand, and I'll be happy to. And then you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, that's going to be the format. Let me just share my screen. And here we go. Okay. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let me just start off. This is the prescribed textbook for this course. This is a book called Karmic Design Thinking, in which most of the cases, all of the cases that are covered in this course are written here, and a lot more case studies. Some questions are also mentioned here. They're available on Amazon paper and ebook format worldwide. It's not limited to only India. It can be purchased anywhere. It's also available on platform Flipkart and Poti as well. If you're looking for a syllabus to download, you can use this website, dt.balaramadure.net, and you will be able to see a model syllabus of design thinking. If you're a teacher, if you're a faculty and you want to teach it in your university or college, you can certainly use the material in there. Let's start with one of the first questions that was asked in the discussion forum. I think this is, what is design thinking? So design thinking is a methodology, as many of you probably know about it. It's a human-centered design methodology. It's a problem-solving methodology aimed with one thing in mind, which is to to keep the human being at the center. Who is this human being? Is the user of a product or a service. Whatever we talk about during the entire course is applicable to both humans who are using a service or a product. So it doesn't really differentiate. The methodology doesn't differentiate. It's a very process-oriented approach, meaning that it has certain brackets, it has certain process steps. However, those are just guides. Those cannot replace your thinking, your compassion, your empathy. It is you who's going to do that. It's a mere guide to guide your thoughts, to help you with if you're stuck somewhere. The methodology helps you with clarifying your thoughts. So that's the main focus of this methodology called design thinking. That's design thinking. So how do we do this? Is the online course that you are familiar with now, at least 2 weeks of content you're familiar with, those are for you to be aware of what is the methodology that is prescribed in this course. So we start with an acronym that can help you is EAST, East, Empathize, Analyze, Solve, and Test. These are the 4 stages that we use in this course. In Empathize, we orient our thinking towards the user or the customer. We think as if we are them. Okay. We look at it from their perspective, what is going on. So a very, very good way to do it is through observation, live observation. So if you can go to where the user is and see them use the product or a service, that's the best case scenario. You start from there. If that's not possible, then you can arrange a video call to see them use it. If that is also not possible, a phone call, and that is not possible, then send a list of questions for them to answer. So I, on purpose, have the surveys at the last because if you want to really find out what a human being is going through emotionally as well as intellectually, it is better to be in person and observing them. Where it's not possible, of course, you can switch to the next video call and phone call. And then if you're totally out of options, then a survey or a set of questions to a particular customer will really help. Okay, that's the empathize part. The analysis is once you've found out what are the insights from your customer, now apply your thinking to it. Some of the tools that are prescribed, thinking tools that are prescribed in the course are multi-why, modeled on 5 whys, basically asking why a series of times so that you get to the root cause of the situation that your customer is in. So that's the multi-why approach, followed by a conflict of interest or contradiction based approach, which is if there are 2 stakeholders in a problem and you have the user point of view from the customer journey map and the empathize part, and then you can also find out any other stakeholders. It could be a manufacturer or a service provider. It could be an important stakeholder. Say it's a child that you're dealing with, and parent is an important stakeholder. If it's an employee in a company, it's a manager who's the important stakeholder. If it's a school, your teacher is an important stakeholder. If the student is your focus. Okay, so you could have conflicts or contradictions. The more you understand the problem, the easier the solve stage becomes, which is the 3rd stage. So we spend a lot of time on analysis, primarily because I'm sorry, there's a lot of background noise. Um, we spend a lot of time on analysis primarily because there is so much knowledge to be gained about what the situation of the customer or the user is. We try to be open-minded about what is going on with our user or customer, and then we try to see what is the specific problem that we need to solve, or problems. In most cases, it's problems. So we take those and then we try to generate ideas, as many as you want. And if you're stuck, of course, I've suggested some principles based on the TRIZ body of knowledge. you can use those as triggers to generate even more ideas. So uh, use those, generate a lot of ideas. And the final stage of test is when you actually build a prototype. A prototype is a simple, low fidelity product, which is you can build it with boxes, cardboard boxes, you can build it wires, aluminum foil lying around, old newspaper. You can build very, very simple devices for software or for products. You can actually use them. For services, even you can use them and build a very, very low fidelity product so that you can showcase it to your users or customers. And that's what you need to be doing in the test part of it. Of course, your journey doesn't end there. Our course ends there, but your journey as a design thinker does not end there. You have to go back to your user and empathize one more time with these prototypes now, saying, does that help them solve the problem or not? So that's all the overall, let's say, overarching method of design thinking itself. So that was a simple question, but a really long answer to that. The second question is how to, this is a very interesting one that I saw a post was how to empathize with non-humans. So you talked about human-centric design. What about non-humans like animals? Okay. So the methodology does not change at all. What is for humans is true for non-humans, as this person talks about, for animals, pets, cows, all those also the same methodology applies, which is observe them in their natural environment. I was writing this as a response to the question in the discussion forum. You can read it. One of my friends is a veterinarian, and I was speaking to him, and he told me, Bala, my patients don't speak. They don't have the ability to speak. I said, that's a very interesting perspective. So how do you find out what's going on with them then? He said, I observe. I use all my senses and try to observe my patients. This is what he said. This is golden insight for me, because we try to give out surveys and ask the user a lot of questions. But what if there are, the animals case where we just see signs of them being in trauma, being in trouble, or being happy? How do you find that out? You need to do that, right? So you need to be very perceptive. And that's exactly what we prescribe for humans as well as non-humans, as this question goes. So you can use the absolute same methodology that you described. Start with trying to look at it from the pet's perspective, the animal's perspective as well. Observe them where they are. If not, give them an atmosphere and see how they react. And then make your observations and notes. And that's the best way to learn, get insights from your user or customer. What applies to humans also applies to non-humans. The rest of the methodology is identical. You analyze the problems, you solve, generate a lot of ideas, and you build a very, very quick prototype to see if the idea really is feasible. Okay, so that's what. So if any of the this is my attempt at answering these questions. If it's not clear to you, or it's something else you had in mind when framing this question, please do let me know via chat here. Or if you can go to the discussion forum and follow it up with another question, we'll be happy to answer that. Okay. So the next question is design thinking stages 4 or 5. Okay, great question. This comes because if you go on the internet and look for design thinking and you look at the images, what you see are 5 stages. Whereas in our course, I talk about empathize, analyze, solve, and test. Only 4 stages. How come? In the other methodology, they talk about 5 stages. Here we talk about 4 stages. Well, this is probably a good time to tell you about my blog. This is going to be useful for you because I have collected over the years many useful questions. Let me just I think I must have mentioned it in the discussion forum as well, but no harm in doing so here as well. Let me just paste the link in if you go to my website balaramudurai.net and click on design thinking, there's a tab called design thinking. There's a ask for and I'm going to paste the link here in the Zoom chat. So this is the link. Ask the DT doc. Okay, ask the design thinking doc. That's my blog series. I have many such frequently asked questions from learners like yourselves from the years past. They've asked me and I've tried to answer them. And so I thought it would be useful for you as well. So I've shared this link in the Zoom chat, and I'm also going to do that on the YouTube if somebody's watching it there and they're not able to have access to the. Okay, let me do that. It's on the YouTube chat as well. So people who are watching the recording, or if you're watching it live on YouTube, you have the link as well. This is called Ask the DT Doc, Design Thinking Doc. And if your question is interesting for me, I will try to post it as a blog post on my website as well. This will be helpful for you. Anyway, coming back to these 4 or 5 stages. So one of the maybe I should use the blog post itself. Now that I've posted it, I have a question there, 4 or 5 stages. Let me just scroll and find that out for you. Sorry about making you wait. Let me see. Yes. Okay, I got it. This is the question that was asked. It is empathize, analyze, solve, and test. That's your 4 stages. But when we go to the ideation stage, I'm sorry, IDEO's model, I see that it is called empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Okay, those are the 5 models. So it turns out that they are one and the same in spirit, because empathize is empathize, the first stage. Define, as they call it, we call it analyze, and we are doing the exact same thing, which is trying to define the situation of the user problem. Ideate is to solve, because we are generating ideas. It's exactly the same. The only notable difference would be prototype and test are 2 different steps. Whereas in our methodology in karmic design thinking, we combine that into one, because we make a prototype and we test it with the user, which means it's empathize cycle 2. Okay, so that's the only difference. Now, added bonus of empathize, analyze, solve, and test is it's can be neatly remembered with an acronym EAST, the direction east: empathize, analyze, solve, and test. So that's the added bonus of thinking in 4 stages. So you can use this as well. So that's my trial to answer that. Let me pull my presentation again. Okay, the next question is, tell me more about 5 whys. Okay, so this is an interesting question. I've also responded to this question on the discussion forum, but it doesn't hurt to bring it up again. 5 whys, or multi-whys as we call it here, is a root cause analysis method. Now, what is root cause? So if there is a problem situation that your user is in, okay, so think about what is the root cause of it. Why is it, why are they going through what they're going through? It is important to know the root cause. Okay, so Toyota popularized it in the 70s and called it 5 whys. But I think that there is nothing magical about the number 5. You don't have to stop at 5, or you don't have to get to 5. There's nothing. So if you know enough about the problem, you can get to even deeper levels also. You can get there. Or if you don't know much about the problem, you probably stop at 3. Many of the cases I stop at 3. So it will tell you more about the problem, and that's what we are after in the analyze phase. We want to know more about the problem situation itself, trying to find out why is it that this user is going through this situation, rather than trying to address it from a symptomatic sort of saying, okay, this person is coming late, let me buy him an alarm clock. Okay, or this person is driving very fast because she's perennially in a hurry, we'll just have a speed governor. No, we are trying to go, why is she going so fast? Why is he coming so late? We are trying to figure that out. What is the core of the issue? Okay, seems like she'll be charged penalty if she arrives late at her destination, and that's why she's driving fast. Why is she charged a penalty? So try to get to the depth of why is she doing what she's doing. Okay, so it depends on the situation. We're trying to get to the root cause, particularly the unsaid and latent or latent needs. That's what we call it. So the you haven't really observed that on the field, but we are trying to apply our minds and trying to find out the root cause. That's the core of why this multi-whys really work and get to the bottom of the mystery here. Okay, so if you want to read more about it, I've shared a link on the discussion forum. Please do take a look. It's an interesting case study. It gives you another case of how to apply this multi-why on another situation, very interesting situation that's mentioned in that. Okay, so that's the response to this question. When should the test phase be applied? Okay, this is basically a going to be the last phase of it. If you've really understood the problem from the user's point of view, you analyze it very well, you know the in and out of the problem now, you know what is the conflict to be resolved, what is the conflict that has not yet been solved, and you need to resolve it because it's very hard problem to solve. And then you have generated enough ideas, then you get into test phase. Okay, the test phase is about quickly putting something together. Okay, something that works, something that you can. So a very easy idea on paper suddenly becomes, oh my God, how am I going to implement this? Okay, then your brain starts working on how do you make this thing, the idea, how do you make it quickly possible? Okay, so think low fidelity, think cheap, think fast. So that's what is the key here. You have to make something really quick and with minimal resources, but make something. Okay, so that's the main focus in test, and you make a prototype like that. Okay, prototype is by the sound of the word is that it's not going to be fully functional. It doesn't have to have all the features. It's not fully fleshed out. It is a prototype. It's like a one of those alpha version of software. So prototypes are in software as well. People call it wireframes, people call it alpha version. You can create something that's bare bones. Okay. Now, why do you have to create something bare bones? Why don't you create the full product itself? Well, because we want to test out this particular idea, particular direction of thinking. One is that. Second is you want to show to your colleagues, your teammates, saying that, hey, this is the idea that I'm thinking about, not something else that you've understood. You can have something and explain to them, this is the core of my idea. Okay, and then you can take this prototype to a willing user and say that here's a prototype. Warn them that it's a prototype, not the final one. It's a prototype. I want you to use it and see if it really solves your problem. Okay, and observe that. Now comes the empathize version 2 or cycle 2. Okay, so that's when the testing really works very, very well. But have an open mind at this stage, because your prototype may fail or your teammate may say, oh, this doesn't work at all. Your user may not find it useful. They may do something else with your prototype rather than what you intended to be. Be as open-minded as possible at this stage, as you were in the empathize phase. Okay, so that's what is going to happen when you take it to the user as well. So that's testing is very interesting because it's a testing time. It's going to be tough for you because you see all your effort either completely being dismantled by your user, okay, saying that, oh, it doesn't work for me. But that is important learning also. You can carry it to the next cycle. Okay, so that's the interesting part about test. All right, let me go to the next question. Tell us about the resources and reference material. Okay, so there are a lot of resources, reference materials that we would like to share. There are YouTube playlists. There are materials that you can download and read. There are websites, articles, all that is there in my Ask the Design Thinking doc blog post, the link that I shared on YouTube as well as on Zoom. You can use them. You can scroll through. You will find a list of references. Uh, I will also make sure I share that on the discussion forum. You will be given a link, and you can get all these references there. The YouTube playlists are arranged according to the stage of design thinking: empathize, analyze, solve, and test. Each of them is a YouTube playlist. You can watch them at your leisure. There are lots of videos compiled over years. Some interesting ones, some thought-provoking ones. All those ones will be there. You can take a look at it and at your own leisure. So those are some of the references that you can have. Now, having said that, one of the key things in design thinking is not only about reading and learning, it's also about doing. Okay, so make sure you take these learnings from this course and apply it to a real situation. I can't stress enough the value of practical knowledge, learning from by doing. Okay, uh, go look around yourself, either at work, or if you're a student at your college or school, or at home. Just look around. Find somebody who you think they may need help and you really want to help them out. Okay, it should be both, that they really need the help and your feeling is that you need to help them out. Okay, pick one such thing as a project. Okay, it could be your workplace, it could be your school or college, it could be your home. Try to look for such an opportunity and use this as your first ever design thinking project. If you've already done, great, good for you. Okay, but if you're not, start with this and apply what you learned in this course. That's one of the best ways to learn design thinking. Okay, you're learning by doing. That is ingrained in design thinking. It is empathy plus action is compassion. So you're feeling compassion for this person, show it through these actions, that you're taking these steps. You're in the marga to make a lasting change. So that's what you need to be doing, which is how we have learned. I have learned, my Shyam and Sukrat have learned, and we would also prescribe that to you. Try to make a different positive change in somebody else's life, in and around you, and that's one of the best ways to do it. Okay, all right. Okay, if there are any, let me see, quickly check the chat if there are any questions. Please suggest reference materials on design thinking related to business situations. So maybe you have missed this question, this answer. My book on design thinking called Karmic Design Thinking is the prescribed textbook for this course. There are some business situations in there. You can definitely look at it. Specifically business situations, other books I'm not very familiar with. You can possibly look at Tim Brown's book. He has looked at various services and products. Has covered them in his book called Time to Change. I forget. Look for Tim Brown. It'll show up, the first book. I'll just drop in that name, Tim Brown. He's the co-founder of IDEO, Tim Brown. Okay, design thinking book. Okay, I'm going to share this. This is in the chat. You can look it up online, and you should be able to get a book. Okay, so this is also me pasting in chat. Okay, next. Thanks. Mr. Ramnaran has said change by design. Thank you so much. That's the right book. That's the book. How design thinking transforms organization and inspires innovation. That's exactly the book I was referring to. Thank you so much, Sukrat, as well. Okay, there's another question again in the chat. How different is design thinking from critical thinking. Okay, so design thinking is all about human-centered design. So the user of a product or service is our center of our universe. Okay, anything you think in terms of a change that you would like to bring about, this human being is this right at the center of that change universe, so to speak. Any product generation you want to bring about, any changes in the service that you want to bring about, our human being is right at the center of it. Okay, so it stems from empathy for that individual. Okay, so that's why we start with empathy. Okay, whereas critical thinking is about questioning the status quo and applying some systematic ways to think about it in depth about it. So it may involve human beings, it may involve products, it may involve services alone. So it needn't be only focusing on that particular set of people or people who are using the product themselves. This is as far as I understand critical thinking and design thinking. Okay, obviously there are experts on critical thinking who can give you that also, but as far as I understand, this is the difference, that design thinking is almost exclusively focused on and we start with the human being who's using the product or service. Okay, so hopefully that has answered. If that has not answered your question, please let me know via chat or you can unmute and let me know. Okay. Another question in the chat is also, what should we do? What should we do when we know multi-voice has not realized to the root cause of the complex problem? Is there any other technique available for use? Okay, so what the question is, if there are, if you can't find out the root cause, somehow you're just stuck at a very high level. I don't know what is really causing it, because one, the product is the problem is extremely complex and I'm not able to understand. One. Two, I don't know enough about the problem. I'm not able to know more about the situation. Hence, my root cause is something that's not obvious. Is there something else I can do? It tells you something about your understanding of the problem. So, like I said, analysis is about you trying to figure out what the problem is. Okay. So the fact that it's complex and you're not able to get deeper means, one, you don't know enough about the problem. So this is the perfect place to bring in experts. Okay, bring in field experts who will tell you in a flash what is really happening. Okay, because their experience in the domain really helps. Okay, that's one way to go about it. Involve experts in this root cause analysis. Two, there are plenty of methods to do root cause analysis. I'm not going to go into that. There's what is it called? Failure mode analysis, something like that. But multi-why is one of the easiest and simplest ways to go about it. Asking why is one of the simplest things to do, but answering them is the toughest part. Okay, so involve experts. It means that it also sheds light on how little you probably know about the problem itself. Okay. Another thing you could do is to model the problem itself using visual means. Okay, customer journey map is one visual mean to organize the story. There is a method called concept map. I'm going to type it out. Concept maps are very useful in writing out what the problem is in a visual way. Concept map. Okay, so concept map is again, I'll put that on to the YouTube chat as well. A concept map is very useful in highlighting or making sure that your system, your problem is represented in a visual way that you are able to understand the interrelationships of what's going on. Okay, so try to see where is the customer or user, sort of interacting with their system, and that will probably give you better hints. So you can now exclusively focus on the touch point alone and not the entire system. If the user is if the system is so complex that it's very difficult to figure out, then start with that. Simplify the system. Remove everything else and look at only the touch point and try to fathom what the problem could be. So these are isolation, you can find this out. Then add more elements and see how complex it gets quickly. So these are some of the strategies that could be used to simplify a problem for your understanding. The key is to understand the problem before you can get into a solve stage. So I'm glad you're asking this question on the multi-why. If I'm not, what if I'm not able to do that? Okay. Another question from chat is, um, does design thinking methodology empathize, analyze, solve, and test differ based upon the analyzing level of the problems? Um, Not really. It doesn't change with the type of problem or the domain. This is quite, let's say, domain agnostic. What we call domain agnostic. What does domain agnostic mean? The process is identical no matter what you subject it to, whether it is HR, human resources, whether it is technology, battery, electric vehicle technology, whether it is finance, fintech, finance technology, whether it is teachers teaching a student. You've seen this as an example in the course. So you've seen three domains there itself, right? And that I don't know if that's already released. It's probably yes. In week 2, it is there. So an aircraft flying, a teacher teaching a distracted student, and chocolates melting. Right? These are completely different domains. Yet the methodology is identical for all of these situations. So it does not really depend on the type of problem to solve, the analysis and the empathize, the analysis, the solution methods, the testing are identical. It's not going to change at all. It's your understanding of the problem which changes. It changes with time. The more people you interact with, the more types of people you interact with, the more geographies you cover. You go, I know, international, go to another continent and interact with them. Go to another district, go to another section of people. Okay. It could be an elderly gentleman, it could be a baby. Okay, your perspective of the problem completely changes. So try that out. That's a great mental exercise also, and that will schedule a lot of insights into how you think. This is about you and your attempt at understanding the problem itself, the situation itself. Okay, so there is no unsolvable problem. It's our lack of understanding which leads to that unsolvability. Okay, so that would be my suggestion, is to not give up. If you're passionate about the problem, you will find something. These are just guides, methods to take you to the solution to make somebody's life easier. All right. Okay, those are from the chat. If you have any more questions, please do let me know. I will return to my question list. I think there was a bit more. Okay, that was it. All right. I didn't know that was the end of this. Okay. If there are any more, oh yeah, there is one more question. How can we apply design thinking on solving time critical emergencies? Okay, this is a very, very important and interesting question at the same time. Okay. I'm going to answer this question in two different ways. If I haven't answered it satisfactorily, please let me know again via chat, or you can unmute and let me know. One, um, how do I solve problems involving medical emergencies or time related emergencies? Okay. So one of the cases I talk about is this person who straps on a camera in an emergency room and actually goes through the entire process trying to figure out what is going on with an ER patient, emergency room patient. Okay. So that's one way to do it, which is to empathize by subjecting yourself in a mock way. Uh, the same things that time related emergency people go through, and they document there. Some of my students have um, followed an ambulance or been inside an ambulance only to find out what does it take to go through this experience. They've documented all of this. So this could be one way. So um, excuse me for a second, I guess. So you could actually do a mock role play if you're not allowed to go to these time emergency places. You can assemble some of your colleagues or friends and try to do a role play just to get into that psyche and see what it is that they're going through. That could be a great way to do it. Pretend as we call it. You can do that so that you can get into their psyche. Okay, so that's a great way of finding out for this. So that's one part of it, which is trying to do it either through observation or through role play yourself and figuring this out. What is the story behind this time related emergencies? Second way in which I would like to answer this question is I'm reinterpreting this question as can design thinking solve every problem, including something that requires quick solutions like time emergencies? The answer is a big no. Okay. So, one, design thinking is not suited for all problems. I just said it's domain agnostic, but I didn't say it could be applied all the time. Okay. Why do I say that? Uh, Design thinking requires you to think about the problem, look at the user, analyze it, come up with solutions, generate a lot of prototypes. This takes time, energy, costs, money, equipment time, all that goes into making this happen. Now, is the problem, the emergency method, worth to do all of this? This requires sometimes may even require months. Okay, is the problem so critical that it can wait for months for you to finish this? If the answer is no, then don't apply design thinking. It's not meant for quick solutions, quick analysis and solutions. It is not for that. It is meant for longer term. Yes, it is in the midterm to short term. However, when I say short term to midterm, it is about order of weeks or months. It is not order of seconds or minutes or even hours. Okay, because these processes take a long time. Okay, so look at the problem situation and see if it is worth your investment in terms of time, money, personnel, equipment usage, all that put together. Does it really make sense? So this is a decision time. So you cannot do it in a matter of seconds or minutes. Okay, because you don't have time to observe the users and see. This is if there are emergencies, you need to contact emergency professionals who will take care of it. They're trained over years, or if not decades, to handle such situations. Be it a fire-related emergency, medical-related emergencies, they are trained to handle all those situations. Okay, so you cannot possibly suggest design thinking to those professionals when they are doing those things. This is more like step back and look at the whole process in its own sweet time. So I took interpreted this question in two different ways. Hope that is what you had in mind. If not, let me know. Okay, so that's my assumption here. Okay, there are even more questions coming up. How can we conclude that application of design thinking is a success to the problem? Okay, interesting. So when is the project done? Okay, the project is, and the good news is that you will know from your users' behavior. Again, the user may not tell you. The user may adapt to this new situation and their life gets better. It tells you that you're in the right direction. Design thinking is very, very iterative. Okay, what do you mean by iterative? Empathize, analyze, solve, test. You start with empathize again, or sometimes you even get some insights in the solve stage, or in the prototype stage, or in the analyze stage itself. You can go back to another user. Maybe another teammate has discovered something that you hadn't discovered. So put that all together. It's very, very iterative in that case. Okay, so you can always see how your user will be benefited, and that's telling you that you're in the right direction. But the journey never ends. It's an ongoing process, but you know at least you're on the right track. That's what it tells you. Usually, I not your hunch or experts saying that it will work, but you're on the field, the user's life is better than it used to be, then you have quote unquote success, or at least you're in the direction of being in the on the right path. Okay, that's the only, for according to me, that's the only indicator, because nobody can really predict whether it's going to be useful or not until you take the prototype and do it. In some workshops, see that some of my participants stop at prototype. They said, "Okay, my job's done. It's for somebody else to take this prototype to." I said, "No, that's still your job. You still, I thought you said we have to do test and that's it." Nope. You have to come back to empathize again and take your prototype back to your user. Now, that's going to be the key to figuring out whether you're in the right direction or not. And you may have made a lot of assumptions also, which is one of the things that you will see in test phase is you will have made a lot of assumptions about your user. For example, I keep citing this case. Around the pandemic, I once suggested to a friend of mine saying that, hey, why don't you order online instead of going to a grocery shop where the queue is really long? But he had no idea how to use the internet on the phone. He didn't know how to install a grocery app. Neither did he know how to order it. So I had made lots of assumptions about this person, that he knew how to use the internet. He knew how to use an app, a grocery shop app, and he knew how to order online. All my assumptions are wrong. So many of the times we think our user knows all these things, are aware of all these things, but we may be wrong. So a best way to do it is note our assumptions in the test phase and go and test it on the field in empathize. That gives you a very good indication on whether you really tested, you really understood your user or not. Okay, when their life is better, they'll probably come back and thank you. That's probably a good sign of success. That'll tell you. Okay, I hope that has solved your, uh, uh, you know, I mean that has answered your query. Um, Somebody in the there's a direct message for me. It says, "Thank you for mentoring. My team has applied for a design challenge and we've been stuck at this step and need some mentoring." All right. So you can write to me directly via email if you have any questions and you would like to get my view on something. Uh, I'm going to leave my email address here and you can write to me directly and we can then arrange some time to speak, or I will try my best to get back to you over email itself. I'm going to leave the same thing, email address, in the YouTube chat as well. Okay, so please do feel free to contact me. I will help in any which way I can to the best of my abilities and knowledge. I will definitely help out. No matter if you're working in a company, you're a faculty in a university or a college, or you're a student, or you want to further your knowledge and you want to do that, if you're any of these profiles, please do reach out to me. I'm more than happy to discuss and help in any which way I can. So that's my customer support promise to you guys. All right. So does anybody have any questions and want to unmute and ask the question? Please do raise your hand and you can then, or you can just unmute. I don't think there's a big competition to ask. You can just unmute and ask me
Hello.
the question.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Please let me know.
Hello, sir. This is Gautam, working in the industry as a designer for a long time.
Okay.
So, my question is like, in the industry, I mean, we know that we get different projects, and some of the project might have very less time, where we need to deliver on time. But as a designer, sometimes we get stuck on like how can we execute the design thinking process, I mean the complete design thinking process, where we have the challenge at the same time, like we need to consider client expectation, and at the same time, like company's expectation also. like where company is telling like we need to wrap up this project as soon as possible because the timeline is less. And the challenge here is like with us from the design side, like we want to execute, but I mean we are not able to due to this situation. So how to as a designer, like how to deal such situations? So what is your suggestion on it?
Okay, great question. Thank you so much. Yes, this is a situation that many of us face is our customers or clients want the answer or the solution very, very quickly, and they give you a deadline. Whereas you know that your process of thinking about it, doing the analysis, all that takes a lot of time. Okay, sounds to me like a good conflict of interest. You can apply this yourself. However, before doing that, try to see from your customer's point of view, what is it that's driving them to give you this deadline in the first place? Your company or your client itself, or whoever has agreed to this, this deadline. Why have they done this? Look at it from their perspective and
Mm,
see this. This will take a long time. I don't offer you a push button solution saying, "Oh, tomorrow do this and your life will be really better." However, you will have to look at it. It will take you some fact finding, some searching around, some empathize, actually have a conversation with them and try to figure this out. Try to get into this. If it's not possible in direct ways, because sometimes in large companies, you're far removed from the actual user or customer, that's very difficult to do that. Then do it to the next person your output goes to. They are your customers. So you send out your output to X person in your organization. In large organizations, is a typical case. So if you're a software developer, your output goes to a tester. If
mm,
you're a designer, it goes to a developer. For
mm.
example, I don't know exactly what you do, but
Yeah.
if that's the case, then try to look at it from their perspective, because your deadlines are based on a longer scheme of things. So try to get that bigger picture scenario, and that empathy of your next person will really guide you in saying, okay, they don't want all of this, they probably want this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but in order for me to achieve this, I need to be doing all of this. That's your contradiction. You can use your contradiction tools now after having done the analysis. I'm sorry, or after having done the empathy and understanding the bigger picture of what the full scale looks like. And then now you can apply saying, okay, here is a contradiction. I need 4 weeks at least for this entire project, whereas the deadline is only 2 weeks. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now we can frame it as a contradiction. Okay, maybe not the entire thing, maybe 2 weeks I can furnish this, and it's going to be very good. Now it comes down to negotiation with them. Okay, so
Mm.
I mean, they are human beings, they have a customer also, just like that person is your customer, that person has another customer. So you now get into that role of trying to figure out how are they interacting with their customer and how this is happening. So it gives you a larger view of things. And I've been in this situation myself.
Yes, sir.
When I used to work for a company, we were far removed from a customer and we didn't understand what was the reason why they are asking for something itself. Forget the
Mm.
deadline part. We didn't even know what we are doing and why, how is this going to benefit. The moment I asked these questions, things became a lot clearer, and the customer eventually communicated to us that I asked this because this. And I said, then we said, you don't have to do this. We just need to do only this part, not the entire thing. And they understood. They really understood, because now you have applied your compassion to their needs and you really focused it down. So this is one piece from what I've been through.
Yeah.
Your specific situation may vary,
Yeah.
but try this out and let me know how it pans out. And you can write to me and giving me specifics also. Maybe we
Sure.
can have a conversation around
Sure, sir. So
that.
in the same thing, like which you explained here, where we need to, so what I'm trying to understand, like in some situation, can we, compress the design thinking? Like maybe some of, some stages we can skip and, jump to the solution because there is a rush and they want to, such things are related to business and they want to, grow their business. And there is some commitment also at their level, so where they want to look at the solution at first, and then later on they will, maybe when they will get it or they will fall after the outcome, because since we have skipped some of the process, maybe that time they might realize, or maybe I will able to explain that, I mean, why it has happened, because of we missed, that stage during the like, designing phase. So could it be done?
So, I mean, if you are so sure about the problem, then you
Hmm.
can skip. That would be my. But my warning
Okay.
would be that you haven't understood the problem really well. So you give it,
Hmm.
or you should drop a warning saying, "Hey, this analysis
Hmm.
part I have not done. From what you told me, I've taken it as such, and this is my
Hmm.
solution to it. However, given this much time, I will go into the depths of it. Okay, because they
Got
need to be aware that what you've given them is a band-aid kind of solution, which is you see something and you immediately treat that. That's possible. Off the shelf, that's quite possible. And like I said, right, earlier, design thinking requires time, effort, personnel, and equipment costs. All those comes into play. Is your project worth all of that is the question to be asked. It's not about following a process or not. It's not about compliance. This is not a compliance. It's not a safety drill. Okay, that if I skip a step, that's going to be disastrous. It is certainly not in that category. Design thinking is about helping you come up with a solution and not binding you into this process saying you have to analyze before you get into solve or you're in trouble. That's not the case at all. It is meant to guide you. It is not meant to replace you or to push you into thinking this is the only way to do it. Okay, so hopefully that has helped you. Thank you so much for your question.
Yeah, thanks a lot, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so another question I got is a very we have 2 minutes of time remaining, and I'll try to answer this. The question is, will the toppers of this course get the offer of doing internship with you? The answer is depends whether you're a student or not. Uh, NPTEL we do offer internships, and we want to encourage toppers of this course. Absolutely, and we have projects to work on as well for sure. I'll mentor you on the project 100%. Yes. However, we do it for toppers and for students who are toppers, not for any topper at all. Having said that, if you're a topper, you've done really well. We have a workshop coming up after post this, and we will announce the date and time, all that. Post this course, you can certainly be part of that and you can apply it. And with our help, we will look at it. We will share our feedback and view on this. If that helps you, definitely you can be part of that workshop. And you can do both. If you're a topper, you get an internship, you can also be part of our workshop as well. Okay. So that's my answer to your question on will the toppers of the course get the offer of doing internship? The answer is yes, if you're a student. Okay. Um, Two more questions are there, but we are out of time, so I'll have to hold off on this, which is, does this mean that the first stage empathy? Okay, I'm just going to copy these questions and keep it with me, so that I can answer that in the next live session. I will start off the next live session with these questions. Thank you so much for your time and being in this session. And thank you so much for your insightful questions, both all discussion forum, as well as during the Zoom meeting and in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. I will see you in the next live session. If you have any questions, use the discussion forum. I'll be happy to answer them all. Okay, have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
you.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Bye. Bye. Thanks a lot.